What is up, everybody? Timberverse here today, and we're gonna talk about this new strategy that their senior vice president has announced they're gonna gradually start shifting towards. Their gaming business model is gonna shift more away from the hardware sales perspective and move more towards a community and engagement-based platform business model. Now, for what I can understand from this information, that means they're gonna move more towards, I guess, like subscription-based numbers, engagement-based numbers like that. Other platforms, perhaps, not going to be focused mainly on PS5 console sales as they determine their success model. Very reminiscent of Microsoft. So it is very evident to me for the longest that Sony just copies whatever Microsoft does. You hear these Sony fanboys, these Xbox haters praise what Sony, how many consoles they're selling, but that is not the end all measure of success, especially with these big gaming companies. They want engagement numbers from subscription services, live service games. They want to keep that engagement number high. And with you selling 80 million consoles, it's not doing anything. It's like your base doesn't really buy games. They buy the most popular games, sure, the most casual games, but they're not buying, like, that's not enough to sustain these big AAA games. That's why they're putting stuff over to PC. So it is just hilarious how people criticize Microsoft so much about them putting their games to PC, not putting their games to PlayStation. Sony is doing the same thing. They're letting you know that up front. But let's not get too far ahead. This is what is stated right here. Sony's senior vice president, Sadahiko Hayakawa, says they are gradually shifting their gaming business model from a hardware-centric business model to a community engagement-based business model. In the gaming business, we are moving away from a hardware-centric business model. Yeah, so letting you know that up front, that hardware sales, that 80 million don't mean anything. It was a drop in a bucket. That's not how they determine their success. And it's so evident. Because you see so many different, like, movie streaming services. Just think of that. Just think of the different movie streaming services. If it's so bad for them to do these streaming services, why are they all doing it? Why all the different networks have streaming services? It obviously is something that's good and positive because they all have one. So there's a reason why PS Plus is the way it is. That's how they moved into this model. So they want that engagement number. People who say otherwise were just stupid. People saying all that they saying about Game Pass. Sony wants to do a Game Pass, but they don't got the same amount of money as Microsoft to do day one games. But they would like to do a Game Pass if they possibly could get more customers to increase their numbers. They would do a Game Pass. But and then the other thing I just found hilarious too is that the people who were criticizing Microsoft about this same practice, like, don't you know that Microsoft is like a $1 trillion company? Like, you don't think they look forward into the future or pay these people these high salaries to predict this? That this is going to be the standard business model going forward for these different game companies? Like, how do you not think they have somebody to predict this already? This big company, this $1 trillion company. It's just so hilarious. So Sony is copying the leader. Well, people thought that Sony was the market leader, but they're not. They're really not. Sony's not bigger than Microsoft as a whole. So, copying the leader, which is Microsoft. I don't care if they sold 30 million consoles, all this nonsense. They are the leader. Whatever they say truly goes. Because if they weren't the leader, why would Sony be copying them? No. Why would they be copying what they're doing? That they're not the leader. So, but yeah, let's continue. Let's see what people saying about this. In other words, Microsoft's way ahead of time, and now Sony is following their steps like they always do. When it was achievements, Sony did trophies. When it was, what else? I'm trying to think of other inventions that Microsoft did. Did they have Connect first? Or then they had the PlayStation Move, whatever. But the point is, Sony has always copied what Microsoft has done. It has been pretty evident throughout these past generations. So, but let's see. The console war is over and Nintendo has won. What, they can have exclusive games exclusive to their platform? Sure, but that's not the determining factor of winning a console war. I was like, I still would prefer whatever you call PlayStation or Microsoft games over Nintendo, whether you call them third party or not. I still prefer those games over Nintendo games by far. So we're essentially seeing Sony and Microsoft going third party in real time. I don't care. As long as I get to play these games, I don't care. These big budget AAA games, I'm fine with them being third party, whatever term you want to use for these companies. I'm playing big budget games. I'm happy with that. So, but yeah, this is a PlayStation. It is an Xbox Series X. Looks like nothing has changed since 2017. Really, they was not pushing this in as a metric in 2017. They were talking about how many consoles they were selling each month, but they were using the same archaic business model. And now you're trying to say they planned it? No. Once again, the whole slate, yeah, all those games are going to PC. They might as well put them over to Microsoft too. The next Xbox as well. Pretty much. Sony's new strategy after watching Xbox: copy. Ponies, where are you at? Come out and explain this. What can you say? Like, how can you justify this? They're just copying what Microsoft is doing. After all their fan base, their zealot fan base said Microsoft is bad, they're terrible, they don't know how to manage a business. Sony is copying what they're doing. All those third place jokes, like there's 30 million consoles being sold compared to 80 million. Look at where it got you. They're still copying what Microsoft is doing. It makes sense because Microsoft is a bigger company. They like common sense to tell you that hey, they know what they're doing more than what Sony is doing. Sony might have this different business model from right now, but they're going to change eventually to doing what Microsoft is doing. That's pretty evident. So I'm not shocked by this at all, to be honest. Exclusives don't matter these days anyways. Meanwhile, Nintendo still makes exclusive games for their hardware and are far more successful. Nintendo is now far more successful than Microsoft or PlayStation. No, they're not. And who cares about their... I was thinking about the Nintendo games. Their games are lower budget and lower visual fidelity, lower frame rates. I was like, sure, you get the whimsy of these nostalgia franchises, but it's like it doesn't do anything for me. I think most people, adults, would rather play Microsoft or Xbox or PlayStation games, to be honest, their first party games. I was like, I'm not rushing out to buy a Switch 2. Dear PlayStation community, this is our canary in the coal mine moment. Sony will bring more of his games as more places, and what it will look like. I'll bet we'll soon find out very soon. A popular opinion, that's okay. More games in the hands of more people is rad. I agree, but yeah. It is just so funny, the irony. Oh man, the sweet irony right here. PlayStation is going full third party. Being honest here, the PS6 will have no real exclusives. And is that really an issue? Let's be honest here. Let's say if the PlayStation 6 had no exclusives. You can play Spider-Man 3 or your Xbox. You can play Last of Us Part 3 on your Xbox. Is that really going to damage the PlayStation sales? I don't think so. Then the same people who bought the PS5 is going to buy the PS6 to play the next Call of Duty, the next Fortnite. They're still going to play the same games. The same casual games they're going to buy on the PlayStation. Nothing is really going to change with this business model. And they know it. Because GTA 6 is going to be one of Sony's big sellers. And that's not an exclusive game. It just is what it is. Most people are going to buy GTA 6 on PlayStation. People are going to buy a PlayStation and play GTA 6. You know, it's probably like no big advantage over the Xbox. They're going to buy it because it's more popular. And it's not a first party game. So Sony knows, they know what's up. They don't got to do first party games like that. They can just rely on third party and they're still going to sell the same amount. So why not just capitalize and make more money as possible putting these games to PC, putting them to Xbox and etc. and Nintendo platforms as well. So seriously, how many more signs do y'all need? There's probably still some Sony guys saying, this don't mean anything. This doesn't mean anything. We're still going to get exclusives and we're not going to go over anywhere else. It's like they're still on this copium. But no, the writing is on the wall. This is like the 4 games one from Xbox. We all was fools saying, hey, it's only going to be these 4 games. They kept bringing more games over. Then the rest is history. So same thing with these PlayStation. They're going to put their games on all platforms as possible. So if you think otherwise, you're just delusional. Like, you're really delusional. Like, you're really drinking that Sony Kool-Aid if you think they're not putting these other games, these Sony games on those Xbox and PC and Nintendo if possible. They've been saying this for a while. Some just haven't been paying attention, or they just refuse to accept the reality at this point in time. Everyone lost the console except for Nintendo. I don't feel that way because I don't really care about Nintendo games like that, to be honest. I don't really feel that way. It's kind of like when the whole 360, PS3, and Wii generation, Nintendo won that generation as well on paper, but you have to play games where you're using motion control, waggling the controller. Like, I don't care about that nonsense. Same with the Switch 2. It's like their games that are low budget, not really like more like adult, older audience themed games. So I don't really care, to be honest. So, but enough about Nintendo. This is about Sony. We'll talk about Sony right here in this new business model, this new changing of their business model right here. R.I.P. PlayStation. Yeah, so back on, I guess I'm gonna touch on the Nintendo thing because you mentioned it right here, but they keep, I mean, I guess they keep the budget low, but it's like at the end of the day, we buying these $5 systems. I want to see some big budget stuff. I want to see some AAA stuff on my console. I don't want to just see like something like a handheld. It could be running a handheld, to be honest. So those are just my thoughts about the situation. I said this years ago. It was called a liar. So much for the traditional model. You know who this sounds like. Talk about being late to the party. Yeah, they're just doing what Microsoft was doing. What Microsoft has been doing. What I gather from this is that PlayStation's going third party, which means the only platform that has exclusives anymore is Nintendo. Which I wouldn't care. Like I said, if Nintendo was on with exclusives, it wouldn't bother me none. I'm still gonna play Ninja Gaiden 4, Outer Worlds 4, Spider-Man 3, the big games on Xbox or PlayStation, so it doesn't bother me. But yeah, I'm gonna include it right here. I might do another video, part 2 about this later, but this is pretty hilarious. How it just never fails. Microsoft was always right. They've been right. All the negative press about, oh, they land off people. They got a Game Pass, it's killing the industry. All that negative nonsense. They have no games. But at the end of the day, Sony is copying what Microsoft is doing, and it's evident. If you think otherwise, you're just delusional. You don't think that PlayStation is going the same way as Xbox, you're delusional. The writing is on the wall here, people. But I'm going to include it right here. Just want to see your thoughts down below. Leave a like this video. And as always, thanks for watching, and peace.